Okay, g'day people. Starting off today's ride a little bit different spot. Taking a little bit of a different route. Had to amend it on the fly, so I'm coming up this way and starting up this way because although it's a little bit earlier today, 6:45, the sun's heading down in an inopportune spot. As you can see, shadows are getting quite long, sun's behind me. Have to come this way and make it a little bit more user friendly for your viewing leisure and pleasure. No one likes to be squinting into the sun now, do they? And I've got the time, so that means I'll be able to take a little bit more of a longer route down one of my favourite roads. Hopefully the traffic's alright. What am I yarning about? I don't know, something along the lines of lifestyle. Bit of a lifestyle-y type sort of a thing. Bike's just part of my lifestyle, as it would be anybody else's, unless of course you're a world superbike rider or in the MotoGP. This is just one of the things we do to get by on our days off, either competitively or socially, or just because it's a passion. And how much does biking affect you or influence you or affect other things in your life? Well, today for me, today's a big blue day. I've pulled out the R1 on a Monday to go to the gym, and the gym will also be part of this discussion as well. Now, Big Blue wasn't going to get a run on the weekend. It was a VFR weekend, and that's not an accident, not by any stretch, because I knew I was never going to be able to physically take a day on the bike, a rather long day on the bike. I have done it in the past. I have done 10-12 hour days on the R1 with brakes obviously, and around about, I would say, maybe 400 plus Ks. But this weekend was not going to be one of them, and that's the thread there, which for me, and I know I'm not a competitive bloody bodybuilder or anything like that either. It's, you know, bikes or biceps, bodybuilding or motorbikes, you know, which way you're going to go. Can you do one? Can you do the other? Can you do both? Yes you can, and no you can't. You can do them, and I mean, I'm literally doing that. I'm literally riding my 1000cc sports bike R1 to the gym to go and do 2 hours of training, but unfortunately I'm neither a competitive bodybuilder nor am I a competitive motorcycle rider. I'm not going to get up on the stage and win any competitions, albeit that I do look like I train, I do look like I exercise, I do look like I lift weights. You know, competitive on-stage bodybuilding, even at the natural level, it's still a whole thing. Oh. And I would need to, as much as I live a fairly clean and committed and focused bodybuilding life, that would be, holy shit mate, that would be a whole new level if I was to do it with the intentions of going on the stage and competing. Likewise, from a motorbiking perspective, I've got a couple of nice bikes. I've got a 1000cc sports bike, but do I rip around like a street hoodlum? Well, definitely no. You know, do I do a few little naughty things here and there? I suppose we all do. But I'm not dragging in and kicking up sparks and doing burnouts and this, that and everything else. And at this stage I'm certainly not taking it to the track, which I do intend to do, but again, it'll be a social track day, nothing more. Yes, I'll be pushing it to its limits and my own limits, but it will be a social track day. Motorcycle racing, even at just an amateur level, it's a whole different thing. Those people have dedicated sports bikes, full race sliders, yada yada yada, the whole works and jerks. I've got enough to get me on the track, have a bit of fun, and go home. And by that I literally mean go home. I'll be riding the bike to the track and I'll be riding the bike home. Now, by what I mean by that is, obviously it's not a dedicated track bike. It's still got headlights, it's still got blinkers, it's still got to meet some form of emissions, even though it doesn't, but you know, at least pretend like it does. It's got a license plate on it, it's registered, it's insured, it's a fully legal bike. And a track bike is none of those things. And for most of us amateurs, and you know, might get down that path one day, a fully fledged track bike is something that has never ever ever been road registered, or if it has been, it no longer is, because it once was and is now a write-off. And that's how most of us get into the whole track bike scene. We buy the fucking 12k, we buy the monster fairing kit, the white ABS plastic fucking shitbag, maggot bag, bloody set of fairings, and we slowly but surely build it up, put a little cool stickers on it, paint it stupid colours, or just leave it white. There's no headlights in the front, etc, etc, etc. You get the big picture, yeah? We ride it. Of course we don't ride it. We trailer it to the track. It's got nothing pretty much but wet tyres and slicks, tyre warmers, heat cycles in the tyres, you know, all that sort of shit. Mate, I'm so far away from that, it's not even funny. So when I use the words like biker or bodybuilder, please, 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 I'll probably never in my life get on stage, and I may very well end up getting a track bike, a dedicated track bike at some stage in my life. As far as racing a bike in a actual competition at some level, well, first I've got to get this big bad boy onto the track, see how it goes, see how much I like it. So I'm neither a competitive bodybuilder nor a competitive racer, but they are passions of mine. And as per everything else, and we'll now go on a little bit more of who I am and what makes me tick. I am retired. I have a little bit more time for my passions than what I would if I was working, which leads me into a whole different stupid story again, which is, you know, when did I get into bikes? Well, I didn't get into bikes until I actually got retired from the army, which was a fair few years ago now, 2014 from memory, or around that time, which was also around the time that I bought my first actual motorbike. So I got into bikes in my early 40s. Didn't like it that much, didn't like the Ducati 659, didn't put many Ks on it, sat there even for 12 months in between regos and didn't even move, etc, etc, etc. Anyway, long story short, only just got into biking in the last, say, 2 or so years, from 2020 onwards, so basically from Corona onwards. I now have 3 bikes, all purchased pretty much through the 2 years of the pandemic, so 2021, it's now 2022, and that's a little bit of my life now, part of my life. I have obviously been training for a lot, not a lot longer. Obviously trained a lot whilst I was in the army, but I didn't do specific strength training or specific bodybuilding type training. I did a lot more functional training. Obviously I was ex-infantry and ex-special forces. I'm 102 kilos actually as of today, as we speak, with pretty good body composition. Probably better body composition today at 50 at 102 kilos than I was actually even in the army in my 30s at 102 at my peak in the 1 year or the 2 years at specific times within my career that I was actually able to commit to weight training, which out of 25 years was only 2. I trained pretty committed in 1996 and I trained pretty committed in 2006. They weren't accidents, that was very specific, but for the remainder of the time, no. It was all about throwing your house on your back, carrying half your fucking body weight for long distances, and just being a fucking beast. A bench pressing 150 kilos, which I did. Well, actually I bench pressed 160 kilos at one time in the army, but that had absolutely no effect whatsoever on my ability to perform my work, and actually would do so at a detriment. So when that cycle in the work finished, it was well, back to again, which peaked at 100 kilos. That was then back to, within a year or so, I was back to about 85 kilos. Oh, green arrow. Oh, red light camera. Oh, damn it. And now we're on a hill. So where am I going with that? Lost my train of thought now with that bloody light. Yeah, so I only trained for a little while. Now I can train a lot more now that I'm out of the army. I don't need to maintain a fit and functional, say 85, 87, I think on occasions 90, 92 kilos. I can afford to pack on a little bit more muscle and a little more body weight. So that's one of my passions. Bikes is my passion, cars are my passion. I want to take my cars to the track as well. But at age also, now at 50, yeah, you kind of got to, you know, look after yourself. I mean, I probably wouldn't be on this bad boy here right now if I wasn't looking after myself. I'd be, you know, like a lot of the rest of the great grey brigade in my 50 pluses. I'd be on a sports tourer, I'd be on an adventure bike, I'd be on a Goldwing or a BMW K bike, or the typical Harley wankers who all of a sudden think they're hard cunts, fucking, you know, they've got a beer gut and a bald head. No thank you. I still want to have some fun. So this is very much a non-50-year-old type sort of a bike. You'll see a few older guys on sports bikes still, but also some of those guys have the luxury of being lean, or thin I suppose you should say, and lighter body weight. They probably would not be around the 100 kilo mark. Those 50-year-olds will be on big fat hacking bloated bikes to match their big fat bloated guts, because obviously they're not going to be 100 kilos, 6'2", and, you know, shits and giggles, let's say around 13-14% body fat. They'll be 102 with a fucking beer gut. Sports bike, probably not. Now, that said, as much as I am fit and functional, all that sort of stuff, I still have to accept the fact that I still have to accept the fact that sometimes, unlike a 20-year-old, I'm not going to wake up every morning going, oh, life is great, let's get out there and fucking crush it. Some days it's going to be a case of, oh man, I'm really not feeling the love. So those days are days where you start asking yourself, oh, what kind of bike am I going to go out on a spin for today? Perhaps during the week for a commute, or on the weekend, or am I going to go to the gym, or am I just going to sit at home and have a cry and try to recover? Well, I'm kind of at that phase at the moment. I've put in a few good solid weeks of training, and I'm not quite sure where I fit in the cycle at the moment. I don't know these lanesies, I better keep it safe. I'm contemplating a rest, recovery, giving myself some time off to ensure that I don't burn the candle from both ends and do myself a disservice. I also have a ride coming up next weekend, which will be an overnighter, so I don't doubt for 1 second, as much as I'd love to take the VFR, it's a very good chance that that's going to be the Goldwing trip away. A sleeping bag and pillow in the pannier bag, and probably crash on one of the motel room floors because all the accommodation's been booked, but somebody will have a bit of spare room, I hope, and I'll crash with them. Oh, I'll just go for it, fuck it. You're on an R1 for Christ's sake. So yeah, that'll be a Goldwing weekend, which may very well lead into a recovery week. I may come back from that trip and just go, oh, you know what, I'm going to take that couple of days off now, or maybe even a full week off, and just let this busted old body have a little bit of downtime to sort of recover. And here we go, riding into the sun anyway. So yeah, big ride yesterday, not a particularly small ride the weekend before that, some pretty heavy training in between the last 2 weeks, and now it's going to be a case of seeing how I manage to get through the gym this week. And I'll be brutally honest, I'm surprised I'm going to the gym today, because yesterday, after yesterday's group ride on challenging roads in relatively poor repair, although better than the last time I rode them, with rain, it was a exhausting ride. I mean, you could give it a bit, but you had to be cognizant of what you were doing and the road conditions, etc, etc, etc. It wasn't a freebie. You had to work for it. Consequences of that, come Sunday night, I was pretty fucking shagged. Throw a few beers and a pizza into it, because it's like, yep, you know what, clean eating, shove that shit, man. I'm not cooking tonight, and I normally cook all my meals, prepare all my meals, clean eating, 300 grams of protein, 3,800 calories, etc, 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 all that good stuff. Wow, thank fuck I'm not on the other side of the road, eh? I was just not in the mood to play the bodybuilding game last night, and I had a little blowout. And I wouldn't say blowout, I mean it was going to happen anyway. So again, if I'm a fully fledged bodybuilder, you know what, a competitive bodybuilder, even some wanker on Instagram with a fucking 150,000 followers, 10% body fat, 8% body fat, look at me, I'm killing it. Do you seriously think those guys are out ripping on R1s on the weekend, getting out on the group rides with the boys and slamming a few bloody ciders and a fucking steak sanger or a chicken schnitty down at the pub on a Sunday afternoon? Nah. No, they are not. Doesn't matter if you're a competitive athlete in the IFBB or some Instagram wanker, I can assure you, and that's excluding all the PEDs involved in either of those lifestyle choices, they live very, very regimented lives, regardless of what you see on their social media. I, on the other hand, am a human being with a life. So when I say bodybuilder, when I say biker, you have to rob a little bit from column A sometimes to pay for column B. If I want to rip on the R1 or do a 500-600k day on the Goldwing, you know where that's coming from, don't you? That's coming out of the bodybuilder bank. And as it did on, not this weekend's just gone ride, but the weekend before that, there was a no gym come Monday. There was a broken boy at home crying in his fucking milk on the couch because there was nothing left in my bank. Oh, come on, man, you are incredibly slow. There was nothing left in my bodybuilding bank come Monday to go and attack the gym, because my Goldwing had taken it from me somewhere in the back roads outside of Sydney at 7 PM on Sunday night. But that's okay. It's like I said, life is all about balance. I'm retired. I'm not here to win competitions, little plastic shit IFBB Pro League fucking trophies, or chase down bloody sponsors from fucking Michelin or Dunlop or fucking Yamaha. I'm just here to enjoy life. So yes, as I'm just about to get into the car park here, you can be a brackets, a bodybuilder or MotoGP rider, if you choose to do so. Just don't expect that you're going to be a fucking leader in either of those categories. But my life has always been like that. I've always just enjoyed things and doing them. I've always been a doer, not a watcher. I would rather rip on my R1 out the back of Sydney on a Sunday or a Saturday than sit at home and watch the MotoGP, or travel down to Phillip Island and watch the MotoGP when it comes to Australia. No interest. So in my free time, I'll be doing something. I won't be pretending, I won't be watching, I won't be following. I'll be doing. Probably rather inadequately or averagely, but I don't care, because that brings me pleasure. It brings me pleasure to do, not to watch or to fantasize. I accept the fact I'm never going to be standing on top of a podium, but I enjoy the effort nonetheless. Well, that ride was better than I anticipated, needless to say. As I stated, there will not be any legs done tonight. This does not equal legs, but the exact opposite. If I'm on Big Blue, I shall be doing upper body. Because again, you've got to rob Peter to pay Paul. So if I want to have some fun on this fella, I need to make sure that these fellas can hold me up. Because a 50-year-old hanging off the back of one of these things after doing a squat session is a rather amusing sight. The fact that I can get my busted broken body onto it in the first place is already, for me, as I said, I'm happy enough to do so. But there you have it. I'm an Anytime Fitness member. This is my gym. I love it. And for me to be able to combine this and that at 50 with a body that's no longer suited for military service, because they have excluded me as such, I'm pretty happy that I can still do those things. And that was the owner of the gym. Nice bloke. Alright, well, I've got to go into there and do some stuff so that I can still have the physicality to do some of this stuff. So, enjoy, guys. Stay fit, stay safe, and enjoy life. If you can do two things and enjoy two things, be happy to do so. If you want to be a world champion, I'm sorry, but you'll probably need to pick a lane. On the other hand, I want to have a slice of every pie out there, but that's my choice to do so. You do you. As long as you're happy and it works, then you have succeeded. Alrighty, well, Zig and Big Blue bidding you fair adieu. Shall see you on the next one. And stay upright and stay fit. Cheers again. Zig out.